Hi, welcome to InstructionalFitness.com. I'm your host, Joe Tong. Today we're once back at Gold's Gym, the Mecca of bodybuilding here in Venice, California. Today is our first Q&A segment, and we're going to go over some questions that viewers have written in for us. Wolf writes, I'm considered to be a rather skinny person. I would like to build width, and how many different exercises would you recommend for the lats and back? How many sets for each? Thanks in advance. Well, Wolf, that's a good question because as you put on more width, that's going to give the illusion of overall size to your body. Okay, when training back, I would recommend for a beginner at least 3 different exercises. First exercise I would do is something for width, which would be a pull down in front of the neck or underhand pull down. Second thing I would recommend would be a rowing movement. This could be anything from seated cable rows to barbell rows to one-arm dumbbell rows. That exercise is going to build more thickness in your back. And the third exercise that I would make sure you do that's often neglected in the workout is something for your lower back. This would be hyperextensions. It could even be deadlifts. So with those 3 exercises, you should aim about doing 3 sets apiece. If you're trying to put on more muscle mass, keep your reps lower, 8 to 12 range. And keep your rest time about a minute between sets. Another very important thing that you want to look at though is your supplementation. What you're taking while you're doing this weight training. One, you want to make sure you have a very good whey protein powder. This is going to make sure you have plenty of branched chain amino acids in your body at all times. And this is what your body needs for growth, and especially after an aerobic type of exercise such as weight training. Next thing I'd look at is a non-essential amino acid called glutamine. Even though this is a non-essential amino acid, it's the most abundantly used amino acid in the body. This amino acid is going to help for skin repair, hair growth, tissue rebuilding, digestion. So it's a very important amino acid to supplement your body in your diet with to increase your overall muscle mass. And last but not least, one thing I would recommend to actually take during your workout is a product out by a company called John Scott's Nitro, and this is Cell Drive. Cell Drive is a very good product that you want to drink actually during or after your workout. It has a lot of branched chain amino acids in it. Has a few other things to help speed up the recovery process. It has both carbohydrates, or you can buy it now with the waxy maize that actually causes non-bloating. It's digested easier. And overall, it's going to help just you recuperate a little bit quicker from your workout. Next question we want to look at is actually Steve from Illinois. Steve had written into us and actually asked about when doing bench press, if you want to squeeze your shoulder blades together when doing the exercise. And Steve's second question is, should you arch your lower back, and how much should you arch it when doing a bench press or chest exercise? Okay, first of all, when training chest, there's no reason to squeeze your shoulder blades together. By doing this, it does nothing to contract the chest muscles. It's actually, if anything, going to distract you because you're going to be focusing on that. So when you're doing any type of chest exercise, no, don't squeeze your shoulder blades together. Instead, just focusing on squeezing your chest during the contraction of the movement. Second thing we look at, and I think the more important question, is arching your lower back. Yes, you do want to arch your lower back, but you don't want to arch to the extent that it causes any pain or discomfort. Mainly what you want to do is you want to stick out your chest and try to over-exaggerate that. And like I'll demonstrate now from the side, if I was standing normal, I would just stick my chest up, and that's automatically going to cause an arch in your lower back. With that, there's no discomfort. If I felt any discomfort, I would back off a little bit and actually not do quite as much arch into my lower back area. We did have a question from a martial arts viewer who wrote in, actually Dean said he's quite happy and new to the gym that he just started training at and his experiences in martial arts. He said one thing he's confused about though is the speed and the techniques. He always thought that slower movement when you perform a technique will be much more beneficial, whether it be with free weights or a machine. He says, however, that he sees many people in the gym who does the movements quite fast, and obviously they're bigger than him, and it seems like it must be working. So he wants us to clarify, is that wrong or right in the speed that you do the movements? There's actually not a wrong or a right way to do this. It's actually 2 different training techniques. Okay, there's one style of training technique where you actually focus more on the negative. And let me tell you, just explain what the negative is. If you're doing a bench press, when you press the weight up, that's the positive movement. When you lower the weight down to your chest, that's a negative. Most people, when they train, they go quite fast on the positive and they go about the same speed on the negative. Okay, there is one style, like I was saying in training, where you go fast on the positive, but you go very slow on the negative, about 4 seconds lowering the bar to your chest. This is going to actually give you more results because it's going to activate much more fibers than what you normally do by just lowering it at a regular speed. This type of training too, you won't see soreness the day after you train. However, you'll start experiencing soreness about 48 hours after. So don't be alarmed if the next day you feel quite good, but the day after you start getting very sore. This is very normal with this negative type of training. Okay, the only drawback to this is when doing the movements slow on the negative, you're going to be much weaker. Okay, so that also means on the positive, you're not going to be able to lift as much weight. So again, that's why I said there's not a wrong answer to this. You will get results out of both types of training methods. We had a question from Brad. I'm going to kind of condense it for our readers. Brad was basically talking about he wanted to put on more muscle mass and was going to start training now and wanted to train 3 or 4 times per week. And he gave us a listing of different exercises. Brad, when I was going over your exercises, I noticed that most everything were dumbbell exercises. Every exercise for chest was a dumbbell, for back it was a dumbbell, even squats were dumbbells. Okay, dumbbells can be a very good way to work the body because it's working each area of the chest separately. Okay, you have to stabilize it, which is much harder. However, you're not going to be able to use as much weight. And since you said you're trying to put on more size, I personally would want to pick an exercise that's going to allow me to use more weight and actually to activate more different muscles. For example, I wouldn't pick an exercise such as dumbbell concentration curls that just isolates the biceps, where you could do barbell curls. Barbell curls actually work the biceps, the forearms, you even get some involvement with the shoulders, the lower back. So you're recruiting a lot more muscle fibers, and that means more growth. So when starting a routine, stick more with the barbell movements, not so much the dumbbell movements. As a beginner, you were right, you pick 2 exercises per body part. So that's about 3 sets per exercise. So we're looking at 6 sets per body part as a beginner, okay? The only thing that was wrong is you training the whole body 4 days in a row. You're not giving your body enough time to rest. At the most, each body part should be trained twice a week, even down to 1 time a week. So if you're going to train your body 4 times a week, the way I would split it up is Monday, I would do the pushing movements. Pushing means chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. All these muscles are involved with pushing. Okay, on Tuesday, you do pulling movements. That's the back and the biceps, and then you throw in the legs. Wednesday could be a day off. Thursday, you're back to pushing, chest, shoulders, and triceps. And Friday, you're back to pulling, back and biceps, and legs again. This way, you're training one area of the body, you're letting it rest while you work the other area, then you have a complete day off, and then you're doing that over again. So your body has enough time for growth because you only grow when you're actually resting, not when you're training. Okay, remember, all these exercises we're going over, including the bench press, about squeezing your shoulder blades together, things like that. You can find those on our videos at instructionalfitness.com. And if you actually go to instructionalfitness.com/podcast, you can download them free into your iPod. So when you go to the gym, you can look at it through your workout, and you have your own personal trainer with you there pretty much. Something new that we're going to do with our question and answer segment 2, from now on, we're going to have, when everyone submits a question in, we're going to have a drawing. And the drawing at the end of the questions, we'll pick a name of one of the person that submitted a question. With this, we're going to give away a free t-shirt. Okay, so that'll start with the next Q&A segment. So what we'll do is we'll give away a t-shirt for that. So be sure to submit your questions to our website at instructionalfitness.com, and we'll actually give you a video answer instead of just something that you read on a piece of paper. Okay, thank you for watching instructionalfitness.com. I'm your host, Joe Tong.